Tuesday morning, coffee on the table. The TV is smiling. Peace talks, breakthrough. Markets rally. And then gold drops, silver drops harder, like someone kicked the leg out from under your chair. You stare at the ticker and you think, wait, if peace is here, why are my lifeboats sinking? Because the headline isn't the truth, it's the trigger. A button they press, a lever they pull, a trapdoor. And it worked. Again. Gold and silver didn't suddenly fail. They got flipped. Like a casino dealer snapping a card. Like the house saying, new rules. Here's what the sleeping herd never learns. Gold and silver don't trade like safety. They trade like a battleground. A battlefield run by paper, by margin, by algorithms that don't feel fear. They feel opportunity. They don't hold metal, they hold promises. And when a peace talk headline hits, the machine does what it always does. It rushes back onto the Titanic because the band is playing again. Stocks up, dollar up, yields up. And the herd claps. While the lifeboats get shoved into the dark. You were trained to believe gold and silver are calm. A hedge, a quiet corner. That's the bedtime story. The truth is uglier. Gold and silver are the alarm system. And every time they smash the alarm, it's because the fire is still burning. So the real question isn't, why did metals sell off? The real question is, what are they trying to make you stop watching? What are they trying to make you stop buying? Because when the corrupt system feels threatened, it doesn't argue. It suppresses. It distracts. It stages a show. And this peace flip is a show you've seen before. Different costume, same actor, same scam. Now listen, in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you 3 things. 1, why this sell-off happened so fast. 2, why the next move can be even more violent. And 3, the one mistake retirees make right before they get blindsided. Stay with me. Because if you miss this, you don't just miss a trade, you miss the warning, and warnings are priceless. The anchors said, good news. But markets don't trade news. They trade positioning. They trade leverage. They trade forced selling. Here's the mechanism. When peace talk hits, the story becomes risk on. Less fear, more chasing, more gambling. Money runs into stocks, into tech, into the stuff that looks pretty on a chart. At the same time, the dollar pops. Because global money chases yield, chases safety in the world's reserve currency, at least for the moment. And gold and silver are priced in dollars. So when the dollar spikes, metals often drop. Not because the metal changed, because the measuring stick changed. Like measuring your kitchen table with a ruler that suddenly stretches. The table didn't shrink, the ruler cheated. But that's only layer 1. Layer 2 is the part they never explain on TV. Gold and silver mostly trade as paper. Futures, options, swaps, a tower of receipts. Receipts stacked so high the whole thing wobbles. And those receipts can be dumped in seconds. Not because millions of normal people sold their coins, but because a handful of big players hit sell on paper. A wave, a shove, a controlled avalanche. Then the chain reaction starts, price falls, stops get hit, more selling, margin calls, forced liquidation. It's not investors changing their mind. It's people being pushed off the deck, like a landlord kicking you out because your neighbor didn't pay. You did nothing wrong, but you still get thrown out. And silver? Silver is smaller, thinner liquidity, more volatile. So when the paper hammer comes down, silver doesn't just fall, it splashes. Now tattoo this on your brain. The headlines are the match. The market structure is the gasoline. And the gasoline is everywhere because the system is built on leverage, on debt, on borrowed time. Which brings us to the part they pray you never connect. The math. You feel inflation? You don't need an economist to tell you. You see it at the store, at the pharmacy, on the insurance bill, on the property tax notice, on the repair guy's invoice. But the system wants you calm. They want you hypnotized by headlines. So zoom out. Debt is not just a number. Debt is a claim on your future. And the system is drowning in claims. Year after year, they roll the debt. New debt to pay old debt. Like paying a credit card with another credit card. Like digging a hole to buy a bigger shovel. And when interest rates rise, the rollover gets brutal. Even a small move in rates on trillions of dollars becomes a flood of interest costs. And that money has to come from somewhere. Taxes, cuts, or printing. Guess which one they choose? Printing. They don't call it printing. They call it support. They call it tools. They call it stability. Same con, new label. Here's the line that matters. This isn't a theory, this is math. If debt keeps compounding and currency keeps expanding, your dollars buy less, always. Now, the sleeping herd says, but we're protected. FDIC, government backstops, don't worry. Safe from what? Safe from a bank run? Safe from system-wide panic? Safe from inflation? Safe from rule changes? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most guarantees are confidence games. They work until everybody needs them at the same time. Imagine a stadium with one exit. The sign says, plenty of room. Then smoke fills the air. Suddenly the sign doesn't matter. Insurance funds aren't built for stampedes. They're built for calm days. And calm days are what the system sells you right before the storm. So when you see gold and silver fall on good news, don't celebrate. Ask yourself, why is the system so desperate to make you believe everything is fine while it keeps piling debt, while it keeps moving goalposts, while it keeps changing definitions? Because gold and silver are not their friends. Gold and silver expose broken money, and broken money is the foundation of a broken system. Now we move to the trap, the part they don't want you picturing. Control. When a system is overleveraged, it doesn't reform. It tightens the leash, it changes the rules, and it always follows the same script. First, they create the crisis, then they offer the solution. Then the solution becomes the cage. You've seen it. New reporting rules, new limits, new temporary programs that never die. And the next cage is digital money with digital rules. Call it CBDC, call it modernization, call it financial inclusion, call it whatever makes people clap. Same cage, different paint. Why do they want it? Because cash lets you breathe. Cash lets you move. Cash lets you choose. Programmable money doesn't. Programmable money can say no to what you buy, no to where you travel, no to what you donate to, no to what you stock up on, no to the wrong opinions, no to the wrong people. And if that sounds extreme, remember this. Rules change fastest during fear, and fear is the one resource they can manufacture endlessly. Now I'm going to future pace you because you need to feel it in your gut. Imagine this. You wake up and your bank app is down. Again, your card gets declined at the gas pump, not because you're broke, because the system is verifying. You call, you wait, you get a robot. Due to unusual activity, your account is temporarily limited. Unusual activity, like withdrawing too much cash, like buying extra fuel, like paying a contractor, like sending money to your grandson, like buying metal. You go to the branch, there's a line. Everybody's whispering, nobody's smiling. Then you hear the sentence that changes your life. You can access a portion of your funds per day, like an allowance for your own money. Now imagine this. Inflation doesn't disappear. It pauses. Then it returns. Groceries jump, insurance jumps, rent jumps, medical costs jump. Your pension? Your fixed income? It doesn't jump. It sits there, like a bucket under a waterfall. You worked your whole life, and now the system is quietly picking your pocket. One price increase at a time. That is the trap. And that peace talk headline? That's not a rescue. That's a lullaby. That's the moment the sleeping herd rolls over and says, see, everything's fine. Meanwhile, the corrupt system is doing what it always does, reducing your options, centralizing control, making you dependent. Because dependency is the goal. A dependent population doesn't revolt. It complies. Now here's the big retention point most channels skip. And this sell-off in gold and silver is not the end of the story. It's the setup. Because in this market, the sharp drops are often designed to do one thing, shake you out. They want you to sell at the bottom. They want you to feel stupid for owning protection. They want you to crawl back into paper promises. Why? Because the system can't afford millions of people choosing exits. A crowd running for lifeboats exposes the truth. So they smack the lifeboats hard to make you doubt. And this is where retirees get hurt. They look at price action and they confuse it with reality. But price is not truth in a paper market. Price is a weapon. Now let's talk about the exit. Not getting rich, not beating the market, surviving, keeping freedom, keeping purchasing power, keeping choices. That's why physical gold and silver matter. Not paper, not an ETF you can't touch, not a line on a screen. Physical. Because physical metal is not someone else's liability. A dollar is a liability. A bond is a liability. A bank deposit is a liability. Even insured deposits live inside a system that can freeze, gate, or ration. But a coin in your hand? That's an asset with no counterparty risk. Counterparty risk is the risk that the other side can't or won't perform. And in the next crisis, you may learn what that means. Your broker can restrict trading. Your bank can limit withdrawals. A platform can pause. A government can temporarily change rules. Every safe paper asset depends on the system honoring the promise. And promises are fragile when the house is on fire. Physical metal is different. Bearer assets, no login, no password, no permission, no middleman, no third party. It doesn't need a green light. That's why governments respect it and fear it. Because when you hold real money, you are harder to control. You become your own central bank, not in a fantasy way, in a practical way. A central bank can't create gold. It can't print silver. It can only manipulate paper claims around them. And that's what this flip was, a paper flip. A price smash meant to shake weak hands loose, to scare the herd back into the casino. But here's the insider truth. When metals get hit on headlines, that's often when the strongest hands accumulate, quietly, patiently, without cameras. Because they know the headline fades, but the math remains. And remember, this isn't a theory, this is math. A debt-based system requires expanding debt. Expanding debt requires expanding currency. Expanding currency reduces purchasing power. That is not politics, that is mechanics. Now you're asking, what's next? Here are the 3 signals to watch. Not 10, 3. First, the dollar. If the dollar surge fades, metals can breathe again. If the dollar rolls over, gold and silver often snap back. Second, interest rates and stress. When rates rise and something cracks, the risk-on party ends fast. And when it ends, the herd stampedes toward protection. Third, trust. The moment people stop believing the story, metals stop behaving like paper toys. They behave like lifeboats. And trust breaks quickly. It breaks with one bank headline, one auction that goes wrong, one policy change, one temporary restriction. And don't forget the oldest trick of all. Blame the saver. When the system gets cornered, it points at you, at your hoarding, at your speculation, at your selfishness. They'll tell you it's patriotic to accept less. They'll tell you it's responsible to stay in the system. They'll tell you extraordinary times require extraordinary measures. That's when the words change. Bailout becomes rescue. Printing becomes liquidity. Restrictions become protections. Confiscation becomes windfall taxes. They don't always use that exact phrase, but the spirit is the same. Take a little here, limit a little there, nudge you back into the cage. And the worst part? It happens slowly, like rust. You don't notice it day to day. Until one morning you look up and realize the doors don't open the way they used to. That's why you must separate 2 ideas, price and access. Price is what they can smash on a screen. Access is what you either have or you don't. In a real crisis, the question won't be, what's my account balance? The question will be, can I use it? Can I move it? Can I touch it? Because a number you can't access is not wealth. It's a mirage. Imagine this. You log in and see your retirement account. Still there. Same digits. But you try to transfer, and it says, pending. You try again. Pending. Then you get the message, for your protection, transfers are temporarily delayed. Delayed. Like a flight that never boards. And you can feel it, that helpless feeling, like being trapped in an elevator with a smiling voice saying, help is on the way. That's counterparty risk with teeth. Now connect that to today's peace talk flip. They want you focused on price, so you stop thinking about access. They want you arguing about charts, so you stop noticing the cage being built around you. Now let me say something that will make some people angry. If you are relying on the system to save you, you are betting your retirement on the honesty of people who don't know your name. That is the sleeping herd mindset. The awakened few do something different. They diversify out of control. They hold something real. They hold something outside the digital cage. Because in a crisis, liquidity isn't just cash. Liquidity is what you can use when the rules change. And rules always change. Now, does that mean gold and silver only go up? No. They get attacked. They get smashed. They get flipped. But the long game is not about perfect timing. It's about not being trapped. Because the real risk isn't volatility. The real risk is waking up one day and realizing your wealth is trapped behind a screen with a daily limit and a smiling spokesperson saying, for your safety. That is why physical metals are not an investment. They are survival, freedom, insurance you can hold. And silver has a special role here. Silver is the metal of the people, smaller denominations, more practical, more recognizable, more usable when confidence cracks. Gold is the deep savings. Silver is the day-to-day lifeboat. 2 metals, 1 purpose. Independence. Now before we close, I want you to picture one more scene. Imagine this. It's a normal afternoon. The sun is out, neighbors are mowing lawns. Then the news hits, a temporary banking measure, a short-term restriction, a stability program, and suddenly everyone wants cash. They all want out. At the same time, the ATM line forms, the branch line forms, the phone line forms, and the system does what it always does during a stampede. It slows the exits. That's what they call order. That's what they call stability. But you'll call it something else. You'll call it panic. Now ask yourself, honestly, do you want to be in that line, hoping, begging, waiting for permission? Or do you want to be sitting at your table with options? That's the difference between the sleeping herd and the awakened few. The herd reacts, the awakened prepare. So here's what I want you to do. Don't let one headline scare you out of protection. Don't let one paper smash trick you into thinking the fire is out. Watch the math, watch the debt, watch the printing, watch the rule changes, and build your lifeboat before the water rises. If you want to survive what's coming, subscribe to Bull and Bear, not for entertainment, for awareness, for preparation, because we're going to track the real signals, not the theater, not the smiling anchors, not the lullabies. And if you're holding paper promises thinking they're the same as real assets, remember this. When the lights go out, a screen can't feed you, a promise can't protect you, a guarantee can't buy back lost time. But a lifeboat? A lifeboat is real. Gold and silver, physical in your possession, are lifeboats. One last thought. The system doesn't fear your opinions. It fears your independence. So when you see gold and silver get flipped on a headline, don't panic. Smile, because you just watched them expose themselves again, and now you know where the exit is.